I know you're still a fan of Sarah. And what are you doing? You're playing with the balloon?
Yeah.
Wow. Are you pushing the balloon?
Hey.
You're pushing? Are you catching it? I need two.
Yeah.
This one too, this one too.
Yeah.
2 hands, 1, 2, 3. 2 hands, hooray! My name is Linda Canning, and I'm going to speak to you about my son Thomas, who is 4 years old and has a condition called cerebral palsy. So every child with cerebral palsy will present symptoms very differently. Essentially, it's a brain malformation or injury that causes miscommunication to the muscles, resulting in a broad range of physical delays, difficulties, essentially disability. In Thomas's case, we discovered at about 18 months from an MRI that part of his brain called the cerebellum was undeveloped, and the role of the cerebellum is really important because it essentially controls balance and coordination of muscles. And what this translates to is that Thomas struggles with a lot of body function. He has difficulty engaging both hands, for instance, or isolating fingers. Larger things like standing on his own or crawling involves a ton of balance and coordination. So those areas are definitely affected. And his speech too, because in fact the jaw is a huge muscle to manage. And so when he comes up with a new word or a sound, you know, it's a huge feat for him.
More? Done. Do you want more monkey? More?
Thomas, more monkey? Ma.
More, yeah!
Thomas! More monkey. Look! More monkey.
Our first introduction to therapy came through the Community Care Access Center, and 2 therapists were dispatched, one a physiotherapist and the other an occupational therapist. And they came to our home each week. And about 4 months into the therapy, about the time that we received the results of Thomas's MRI, we realized that Thomas really wasn't progressing at all. Thomas's symptoms weren't really getting any worse, but we seemed to notice them more, and home therapy on its own just wasn't moving him forward. We then decided to access private therapy, and we did some research within the city, and Thomas saw a therapist 2 to 3 times a week. She assigned us homework to do twice a day, and we did start to see some gains. Thomas's ability to stand was improving, and his trunk control was improving.
Now 1 hand, 2 hands, slowly Thomas getting closer. Now, whoa, slow down, 1 foot and 2 feet. Oh, flat feet, sir. Flat feet. Tuck in your bum. Fix your feet. Fix your feet. That's better.
We continued that therapy for about 18 months, and we were still a little concerned because Thomas still wasn't crawling, he wasn't speaking, he still wasn't able to sit on his own. So we again started to reevaluate his therapy and started to take a little closer look at intensive therapy. Intensive therapy is offered at a lot of facilities in the US and in Eastern Europe, and requires kids to be away from home anywhere from 3 weeks to a full year. We had to weigh out what we could afford financially and afford as a family in terms of being away and away from each other, and what was really realistic. So we were really fortunate to find a reputable facility called Ability Camp, where they practice a type of therapy called conductive education. Taking Thomas to ability camp last year really brought us into a whole new light. First of all, it was extremely valuable to give Thomas the time he needed to progress. Trying to incorporate his therapy into the home is just really difficult to do. So it was really necessary to remove ourselves from the home and have that true dedicated focus. Thomas and I stayed there for 10 weeks and were completely immersed in a new educational process of how to teach Thomas and push him to learn skills that were within his reach and to reinforce them day after day. So essentially each day for 5 hours, Thomas would participate in a class that incorporated all components of therapy. He'd receive physio, speech, occupational, music therapy, all within the framework of one program. That, coupled with the oxygen therapy, really opened him up to a lot of input, and we noticed things happening a lot more quickly. Not just the speech and the motor skills, but things like his attention span and alertness. He seemed much more content and settled. I think they also really stressed the importance of incorporating daily living into therapy and moving our thoughts away from doing things for him and really giving Thomas the opportunity to do things for himself, despite the time and effort that it might take him to accomplish that. I think the benefits of doing therapy within a group of other children is so valuable in teaching things like social skills and how to interact within a group dynamic, and learning things like waiting and competing. I think Thomas really found motivating and a lot of fun too. So I think those components to the therapy at Ability Camp are really quite valuable. For us, the greatest reward is seeing Thomas do some of the more simple things, like putting a spoon to his mouth or reaching for something that he's really interested and excited about, or expressing something to us. Those are signs that he's building quality within his world and inching towards an independent life. And I think that's ultimately what we're all hoping for.
There you go.
I don't think she heard you.
My I need 2 hands. I need two. This one too, this one too. 2 hands, 1, 2, 3. 2 hands, hooray!
Feel like you're done, and the darkness has won. Babe, you're not lost.